Hey guys, Kristin here from Will Travel for Vegan Food. Welcome to another edition of Adventures in First Time Book Writing, a video journal update. Today I want to briefly touch on 5 myths about the book writing process. Now, I'm no expert on book writing. In fact, before working on the book that I've been writing for the past year or more, I always said, oh, I'm not a writer, I'm a blogger. And it wasn't until I really got to these final stages of working on the book that I realized, you know what? I need to change my language because technically I am a writer. Blogging is writing, even if it's more casual, or for some people it's not, it's more formal. And I write digital ebooks, I write content for my website, and at the end of this year / early 2015, I'm going to be a legitimately published author. So I realized quickly that I needed to change my language. So I'm kind of saying that out loud more for myself, but for any of you who are aspiring authors or writers out there, just know that one of the quickest ways to help yourself around any of the struggles that you're experiencing, tell yourself, I am a legitimate writer. I am a writer. And just embrace it. It's something that I have yet to fully embrace, but I try to remind myself every day that, you know what, I am a writer. Now that I've prefaced my 5 myths, these are solely based on things that I always thought were true about the writing process, but for me, I've learned that they are not true. And so I wanted to share those with you today. Myth number 1, drinking a trillion cups of coffee a day will make you a legitimate writer. And or spending time in coffee shops will make you a legitimate writer. Now I know it's kind of a movie cliche to see writers that are struggling and sitting in front of their computers downing cups and cups of coffee, or they spend their days whimsically floating about from coffee shop to coffee shop. And I will admit, I spend a fair amount of time working out of coffee shops, or at least I had when I was primarily traveling around the country, because that's where I would go to access Wi-Fi and to write blog posts and work on my book, among other things. If that is your truth, and if you love the idea of downing a bunch of coffee as associated with writing a book, then I'm all for it. Go for it if that's your thing. But the truth is, if you like fresh juice, then you know what? You will be just fine. You do not need the cliche of downing a bunch of coffee or even learning to like coffee if you want to be a writer. So just remember, you can be healthy, sustain yourself on green, fresh juices when you get that tired feeling or you need inspiration. Take a moment and juice up some veggies and fruits and use that to revitalize your body, because you know what? That will actually help sustain your energy for longer periods of time than if you were to have caffeine, or if you're like me and you have it too late in the day, it'll end up keeping you up all night, but in a jittery way so that you won't actually be able to focus on writing. Speaking of staying up late, myth number 2, staying up super late or getting up really early will make you a legitimate writer. Now, while I have experienced the benefits of creating a schedule that in the morning, part of my routine is to write a few pages or a few chapters, or maybe your zone time for writing is late at night, that's totally cool. And if that works for you, awesome. But just know that even if you have a full-time job or you're working on other projects, those don't have to be your times to get writing done. If your peak focus hour and when you really want to focus on writing is in the middle of the day or early morning or early evening, then schedule that block of time to get some writing done. Whenever it works for you, just block out that time frame so that you can commit to working on your book during those times of the day that work best for you. You do not have to do it late at night or early in the morning. Myth number 3, you're always going to be super tired, drained, and or stressed if you are a legitimate writer. Now, yes, I will admit that one of the most difficult things I have done, creatively speaking, in my lifetime is work on this freaking book. It has been one of the most emotionally draining experiences of my life. But this is coming from someone who has never written a full book before. And I'm writing a memoir, which is pulling from personal experiences, many of which created a lot of emotional shifts and caused me to have to address some issues that, quite frankly, I wasn't addressing in my life or sitting with or trying to understand. So as long as you go into it knowing that if you're going to write something that really comes deep from within or pulls at your creativity a lot, yes, it might be stressful, but you don't have to be stressed out. One of the things that I started doing to help de-stress either before or after writing was to put on some music and dance around to get myself either out of a stressful funk or into the moment and into the zone. It really does work. So you don't have to go through the writing experience being so super stressed out. It's really up to you to figure out how you want to move through it. And you can choose stress and being tired, or you can choose to work in those zones that really speak to you, set a routine that gets you pumped or zened out and ready for writing. Myth number 4, go into the book writing process believing that you are not going to be a best-selling author and that you won't make any money doing it. Okay, so I know that it might feel a little grand and even naive to believe that working on a book that you want to sell to the masses, especially if you go the traditional publishing route through a publishing house, means you're not going to make any money, and because there are so many books being published every minute of every day, the chances of making the bestseller list are next to nil. But the truth is, who wants to go into a project of that magnitude, spending potentially years working on something that's creative and speaks about who you are as a creative and inspirational person, believing that it's not going to change lives, that it's not going to reach as many people as you'd like it to, and that it's not going to help you out financially. Now, I know what the grand statistics are for that happening, but guess what? I like to believe that yes, my book is going to make a difference for people. It's going to reach millions of people, and my goal is to make it a New York Times bestseller and a bestseller on Amazon. And so instead of sitting with the idea that I'm just doing this because I told myself I would write a book one day, and I was very, very fortunate enough to be connected with vegan publishers early on to make the book happen, I'm not going to go in beating myself up and saying like, I'm not going to make any money at it, so why bother? And I'm certainly not going to say, oh, nothing is going to come of it, because you know what? This is a big deal. So you know what? Break it down. Timeline out the amount of time that you're going to spend on your book, and then section out time that you're going to work on your creative marketing plan. Now, if marketing isn't your thing, there are lots of resources out there that will help you promote and market your book. But in the meantime, work it on getting that book done, and then do some research on how to promote the heck out of it. Tim Ferriss over at the 4-Hour Workweek blog has every kind of informational piece that you could imagine about the statistics and the strategies that could bring your book to a bestseller level and or make it a monetary provider for you should you go down either the self-publishing route or the traditional publishing route. There's lots of resources out there, so go into your project and into your writing experience knowing that guess what, if you want it badly enough, you can make it happen. I believe in you. And what's the worst case scenario? It's not going to completely fall flat unless for some reason you're hiding under a rock during the promotion, right? Some people will get it and it will change lives and you will be connected with people. It won't be a waste of time, especially because this is your creative project. If it's something that you enjoy doing or you know it's going to help people, then it will. You just have to believe that it will. So I discourage you from going into the project thinking, well, I'm not going to make any money and no one's going to see it anyway, because if you believe that, it will be true. So I just realized that I had only outlined 4 myths instead of 5. So the beginning of this video was maybe a little white lie. So I'm going to leave you with those 4. Because it's getting kind of long anyway. I hope that you enjoyed this video on the 4 myths of book writing process. And again, these are all self-imposed experiences that I've been going through, and it might be different for you, but I thought I'd share them with you because it really has influenced the way that I view book writing, and I hope that it will help you out too. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss any more of these. And if you haven't already, jump on over to my website and sign up for email updates over at WTFveganfood.com. It's where I share a lot of the updates that are coming up, including when my book will be ready and launched, coming out in a few months, hopefully. Then feel free to email me, Kristin at WTFveganfood.com. I would love to answer your questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time, where it once again will be the Adventures in First-Time Book Writing, a video journal update. Who's a cute puppy? Who's a cute puppy?